Allah Apa, the Baha'i greeting to dear friends, the people of the planet, to each and every one. Time is 12:37 and midnight. Today is actually 13th of May. What am I saying? It's 23rd. What is it? I can't even see. So it's the same day as I prepared for you the last session. Now in this one, in these 5 lines, Baha'u'llah started to talk about the power of his revelations while he was asking for help, while he was asking, this is the will of God, but it may be the will of the people not to accept it. It might be the will of the people that they reject it. They abandon it. That is the will of the people. But the Baha'i faith is the will of God. And God does not impose his will over people. So he says that I need help. But now here he's talking nevertheless about the power of his revelation. It's very interesting. It is all the revelation of love. There is the state of love for the first time really has been intellectually, meaningfully is defined by the Baha'i faith and also demonstrated. There's so many lovers that they martyred their life. And some of it is very difficult to explain. So he starts here. He says, Ey Baha'u'llah, چه نارت برفروخت. O Baha'u'llah, glory of God. This che with he at the end, it is exactly as cho with cho with w at the end. It stands the same thing. Because sometimes che is meaning what, but in here che is the same as the cho, means when. A Baha'u'llah che narat barfurucht, when. Narat means your fire, barfurucht ablazed, inflamed. O glory of God, when your fire inflamed, ablazed, set ablaze. خرمن هستی عشاقان بسوخت. Kharman really means hip. It's a stack that is in the field. When you go to a field, a wheat field or something, when they harvest and they make a big hip of it, that would be kharman. So kharman means a lot in Persian. When they say something was very big, they say it was a kharman of something. That means it was a big hip. Here, Baha'u'llah used it in this context as says kharman hasti. Hasti means existence. Kharman hasti oshaqan besucht. The hasti oshaqan means lovers. Besucht means burned away. Hasti means existence. And kharman means hip. Here, because an ashiq, which means a lover, his existence is big. It's such a hip of existence, yes. He says that hip of existence all burn away with your fire. This does not mean in a negative way. It means the lovers, they just fell in love with Baha'u'llah and they died for it, you know. They sacrificed their life in many thousands, really. It says, Yek sharar az nar bar dilha zadi. Yek means one, sharar means a spark. As from nar, fire, بر آنتو دلها heart زدی you hit. So it says you hit one spark of fire to the hearts. 100,000 صدره بر سینا زدی. Wow. You heard the story of Moses, where God sparks, as it literally says, spark, and there was a burning bush, and God says, look into the burning bush, you can't see me. Baha'u'llah says, one spark of fire you hit into the heart, 100,000 of burning bush. Sedre means tree, but here means that burning bush. You made, you created, you put onto the Sinai. Sina means Sinai. He says one spark of the fire that you hit to the heart, it created 100,000 of burning bush. You just see the difference between the revelation of Baha'u'llah and the revelations of the past. You see. This is not about a station of Baha'u'llah and Moses or a station of Baha'u'llah and Muhammad. It's about the revelation of Baha'u'llah. It's the only first global revelation ever God has created and revealed for entire mankind. First time ever. So the difference of it, he says that one spark of fire that you hit into the heart, not one burning bush, but 100,000. Sat means 100, Hezaran means thousands, Sedre means the burning bush here, the tree. Bar onto Sina, Sinai Zadi, you hit. So, what did you do to heart? He said that the heart burned of love, that thousands, 100,000 of such burning bush was created. Then he says, because he says this fire, unlike it has been said, it was literally on the mountain and whatnot, Baha'u'llah says that that burning bush is really into the heart. The heart gets fired and inflamed with duty, with responsibility, and with love to do it. Then he goes back, he says, Pas zahar dil sidraha awmat harid. He says, then from har, every del har, sidraha, burning bushes, awmat came, padid, evident, clear. This spark that you set into the heart, 100,000 of the burning bush was created in the Sinai. From every heart, he says, many burning bush, many sedre were created. So much so that Musiao injao besar bawiyat david. Musiao means Moses. Moses means Musa, but in poetry you can say Musiao, means old Moses. Musiao, which is Moses, inja here, besar, with head, bayat, has to run. Is an expression in Persian. It says, Basar David, he ran with the head. That means he was going so fast. Basically, he was rolling. If you're going so hastily, so fast, so eagerly, not only you use your head, you use your leg to run, but you use your head even to run. Every part of your body wants to run. That's an expression. If you say he ran with the head, that means he was so eager, so much he loved it. He says the Moses has to run with the head here. So, I'm going to repeat this. He says, O glory of God, O Baha'u'llah, when your fire set ablaze, the hip of the existence of the lovers were burned away, one spark of the fire you hit to the heart, 100,000 burning bush were created on the Sinai. In every heart, many burning bush, many cedra were created. Here, the Moses is running with his head. The next line he says, about the Moses again, he says, تا که نارالله معنی را ز جان بنگرید و وارهید از قبطیان. تا که till that Narullah, the fire of God, Nar means the fire. The Narullah ma'ni means significance, the real Narullah, the real fire. The meaningful fire of God. Ra Zijan, it says, till Moses found that fire of God into the soul, looked at it, Ben Garid, he looked at that. Oh, and Vaurahid, emancipated, as from Qibtian, the Coptians, the Copt, those who were in Egypt, the enemies of Moses, those who were fighting with him. This is the reason, Baha'u'llah says, Moses was emancipated from the Qibtian, was that Narullah, the fire of God. But it wasn't on the bush and the cyanide that he saw it later. It was in his heart. His heart was burning away when he found the truth about who he is and what his mission is. That level of understanding, when it came in fact made him Vaurahid, emancipated from the Qibtian, from the Copts, the Coptians, the Copt. The two sets, Copt and Sept, and the Coptians were the enemies of Moses. So he says, if you want to understand this revelation, that he's so worried about Baha'u'llah, clearly he shows his worries. He says it is so huge that hundreds of thousands of Moses are here. And then he entered into from the Moses, he goes back to Ishmael. You know, Abraham had to sacrifice his son, Ishmael. And God sends the lamb. So Ismail is called Zabihullah. Zabihullah means the sacrifice of God. Zabih means the sacrificed. Allah means God. He says, O sacrifice of God, which is Ismail. Ze, from Qorbangah Ishq. Qorbangah means the field of the martyrdom, where you die, you know. In those fields, with many Baha'is, they died. They gave their life. That was the only meaning to life they understood. There is really nothing else. If you could find a meaning to die, open the door and to go to the other side. There is absolutely nothing in this life. It is the biggest BS that is there. It's totally jailed. So he says, A Zabihullah, O sacrificed of God, meaning Ishmael, from the field of the martyrdom of love, Ishq, Bar Magardo, do not come back. Bar Magard, do not come back. Bar Magardo, O means and, John Bedeh. Bedeh means give life. Dar in Rahe, path, A means of love. He says, of sacrificed of God, which means Ishmael, of the field of the martyrdom of love, do not come back, do not return. give your life in the path of love. This Zabi'ullah, which means sacrifice of God, is actually a name. There are a few people in the Baha'i faith called Zabi'ullah. One of them is very famous. This Ismail Zabari, I think. I've seen few tablets of Bab for him. In Isfahan, he actually attended the visitation of the Bab. Right there he started to believe in Bab, and later on, based on the Baha'i history, it says he goes to Iraq and where Baha'u'llah was banished, and he found Baha'u'llah, and he fell in love with Baha'u'llah. He asked Baha'u'llah, can I see when you're writing and when you're revealing? Baha'u'llah gave him the permission. That was it. Now this man, how do we explain to you what it is? I did explain about Sulaiman Khan. Zabi'ullah is another one. He was so much in love with Baha'u'llah. It is so hard to, even for the professional, to say if this man came to the frenzy of love that he became insane because of love. You know, because he just went and got a knife and cut his vein and killed himself. I couldn't stand this life anymore. That's a suicide, literally. Baha'u'llah defended that. He said is the purest blood that ever poured on the ground. He is not approving the act, but he shows the understanding that where this man was and how much he was suffering from. He was just suffering from the life that people were bothering Baha'u'llah so much. Many of the time I said to myself, if I was around, thanks God I'm not around. If I was around and I would see what they're doing to him, I don't know what would I do. I think better do not think about that. So the pain, there was a lot of pain for Baha'u'llah, you know. And this Zabi'ullah, which his name is Ismail actually, appropriately, Baha'u'llah gave him the title of Zabi'ullah, means a sacrifice of God. But this Ismail didn't come back from the field of the martyrdom of love. He actually killed himself. This is what it says. It says, do not turn from the field of martyrdom and give away your life. This is a reference to that Zabi'ullah. To Ismail, first one, but this says, Bar magardo. Do not return and give life in the path of love. So to explain this frenzy of love to this point, what it is very difficult for me to explain it to you today. What would a man what kind of a condition is the man when he reaches there that he gives his life away? Ironically, there's another one, the one who has written the Dawnbreakers. These people were extremely knowledgeable, extremely sane, very obedient to the rule of God, absolutely balanced individuals. Nabil, he's written the book, you know, the Dawnbreakers. After Baha'u'llah died, he said, I cannot live anymore. I've seen those rocks. in Israel. He went on the top of those rocks and he threw himself right into the sea. He could not live without Baha'u'llah. Zabi could not see what's happening to Baha'u'llah. The pain of Baha'u'llah connected so much to Baha'u'llah that he took all that pain. And he is not Baha'u'llah, of course. He can't take those pains. You know, humiliations, all kind of, transgression against Baha'u'llah. Such a subtlety, such a, a spirit with so nice. He's incredibly, Baha'u'llah is nice. It is impossible that if there is a shred of goodness, in a millionth of a shred of goodness is in anyone, that when see Baha'u'llah, he would fall for him. You've heard the story of Edward G. Brown. This man actually did not even become Baha'i. But he went to visit Baha'u'llah. He says, when I saw it, I couldn't help it. I just fell down on my knees. I saw a majesty and a power, he says. Well, that's what he saw, from England. But others, they just feel that their God, actual God, has been afflicted among the people because he has chosen to be equal to people in a level of power. That is the physical power. Baha'u'llah would not have any of the physical power, any particular power that the physical body of every man in the earth has. And he had even arthritis and other pains as well, because he walked through those snow from Iran to Iraq, developed arthritis. So, those who saw him, they couldn't bear it. In one tablet that I have seen is in the volume 7 called Maria Asmani, that I translated that prayer for you. In there's a tablet that Baha'u'llah asked questions about this meed and recompensations and whatever happens to the next life. Baha'u'llah explains everything well. And then he says something there to that effect that if we had been showing the reality and the truth of what comes after this life, after passing of this life, if people would see it, they would come to that understanding. He says everyone will die. Some of them because of what bad things that they have done and what is going to be falling on them, that would consternate them and they die. When they know what's going to happen to them, so bad it is. And others that have done good, they know how beautiful it is. They would not want to stay here any longer. They just say, that's it, we're going to go. Perhaps this is what happened to Ismail Zawari. But I have experienced some of this. I know the toughest pain for a believer, for a true believer of Baha'u'llah, for a person who associated with Baha'u'llah, is to see what happened to him. It's too difficult, okay? You would study him like you study your own father. I don't know even how much you love your father. Persian probably love their fathers more than you guys. But if you know what happened to somebody that you love so much, and then you can't do anything about it, or he doesn't want you to do anything about it, that would become very difficult. I had a vision that at the very beginning when I became Baha'i, I was in the house, my house, wherever I lived. My father, who was really not very fond of Baha'i faith, mocking it all the time. In my dream, in my vision, he says to me that Abbas, the beauty has come at the door. He meant in Persian, he said, Jamal is at the door. I knew right away he meant Jamal Mubarak, or blessed beauty. Right away I got up to go at the door to greet Baha'u'llah. And there he came, Baha'u'llah, with his clothes that we've seen in the pictures. But his clothes was older, as if he didn't have money to buy, the new clothes. But still, it was the old clothes that he had, very lordish, but old. And he was with the mother of Shoghi Effendi. I saw a short lady with green eyes, hazel-colored eyes. And Baha'u'llah came with her, and they sat down in kursi. Kursi is a little, in winter Persian they use, it's almost like a huge coffee table, imagine, big one. And they put a quilt on the top of it, and they lie under it, and in the center of it there is heater, some kind of a coal, natural coal, heating it so you get hot and you're asleep with that things on it so the heat comes to you. I was in there, and my father started to insult Baha'u'llah. I was readily looking at him to just cut his head off for what he says, immediately. And every time I'm attempting to stop him, Baha'u'llah keeps telling me that. And finally I couldn't take it in the dream. I can't stand the insult of my father towards Baha'u'llah, and I cannot take the word of Baha'u'llah trying to slow me down. So I jumped from where I was to get out, because I can't see this scene anymore, to witness the insult to him. But he's taking it and doesn't say anything. So those are the situations, This happened to some of the Baha'is again. They were in Akka. These covenant breakers, they were creating so much problem with Baha'u'llah. My God, I cannot even read it. So they decided not to listen to Baha'u'llah this time. They said, we are going to kill them. And they did. Although Baha'u'llah told them not to, but they couldn't take it. They decided to kill them. And as a result, Baha'u'llah revealed that fire tablets. He says, in the prison, I've been interrogated again, as if I'm responsible for this. So what do we do now? He's suffering now from his friends, and he knows he loves them too. It's a very, very peculiar situation. I am sure a lot of people of the North American Anglo-Saxons are going to show those conditions of the frenzies of love, a lot of it. I see the beginning of it is happening everywhere. I will discuss with you the evolution of the spirituality in the West. I see it in the people that they're my workers. I give him $200, tomorrow he has nothing. Again $200, there's nothing. And he's just laughing and smiling, and I said, you are more Baha'i than me. Baha'u'llah says, don't worry about the future. Take today, and you exactly do that. And you've been living, 48 years, just like this. And we people are all trying to think about the future, and all this, But you are totally in defiance of all of that. He doesn't understand anything, but he is still, I see that, a trend of that is happening in the West everywhere. that people are just fed up with the system and they just give up and they go live a very, very low down, simple life. And I see among them these things are going to happen a lot more. Those who truly understand Baha'u'llah, they put it under a microscope and everything comes down. Then we see what it means here when it says the spark that you put on the heart. Thousands in a burning bush, which is the burning heart really, is up and ready to reveal, their feelings. So I am waiting for the Anglo-Saxons, for white men, to repeat such a degree of sacrifice that what we have seen in the history of the Baha'i faith is only just a prelude to what's going to come in Canada, in Australia, in the United States. People are getting readier and readier and readier. This sense of their spirituality is coming into them more and more. So this is a state of the frenzy, that can happen, and it's happened in the Baha'i faith in many ways. It is very, very difficult to explain the difference between the suicide and dying in this way, in this manner. All right, time is now about 1:10 and I have to stop talking, although I like to continue more. Very well. God be with you. Hope that the spark of the light comes to your heart from this elder and you get up, my dear friends, and save not just the planet but our universe and help our God.